Stories from Maine is a collection of true tales and legendary stories of daring, heroism, absurdity, disaster, and spectacle, all proving why many of the greatest legends in American history are our stories from Maine. From his service in World War I and his continued efforts in World War II, this Maine man arose through the ranks of the United States Navy before retiring and taking the helm to oversee the building of America's greatest amusement park. Stay with us and hear the true story of Disney legend Admiral Joseph Fowler next on this all-new episode of Stories from Maine. Our podcast begins right now.
This is our Stories from Maine podcast episode for August 30th, 2025. Stories from Maine is authored by historian Lori Suzanne Dell. Her books, Stories from Maine and Stories from Maine 2, as well as all of her books, are available through book retailers and can be found on Amazon. All new, weekly episodes of our Stories from Maine podcast stream each Saturday, exclusively on our YouTube channel. And our weekly articles, published in the Brunswick, Maine newspaper, The Times Record, appear online and on newsstands each Friday. And you can follow Stories from Maine on our Facebook page, where we post new Maine history content each day. You can email us at storiesfrommaine@gmail.com.
Now, let's head over to Oscar for this week's feature story on Disney legend and Maine native Joseph Fowler.
On Sunday, July 17th of 1955, one of the greatest amusement parks in American history opened at Anaheim, California. It was the culmination of years of careful planning, expert construction, and imaginative futuristic thinking, all combined with innovative creativity and a total commitment to the improvement of American family entertainment. And when Walt Disney put his team together to make this historic dreamland come true, he turned to one very special Maine man to do what had never been done before. Joseph William Fowler was born the eldest of 5 children in Lewiston, Maine, on July 9th of 1894, to parents William and Jenny Fowler. At a young age, William and Jenny moved their family from Lewiston to Monmouth, Maine, just 23 miles away, where the family settled. Joseph was educated locally before entering the Monmouth Academy, where he graduated in 1911. Then, Joseph entered Bates College in Lewiston, Maine. Once Joseph graduated from Bates College, he entered the United States Naval Academy at Annapolis, Maryland, and graduated as a midshipman in 1917. At that time, Joseph joined the United States and served in World War I. When the war ended in 1918, and while still serving in the U.S. Navy, Fowler entered the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, where he studied naval architecture and graduated with a master's degree in 1921. The United States Navy put Fowler right to work after his MIT graduation by sending him to Shanghai in China to oversee the construction of the USS Panay and 5 of her sister ships from 1924 to 1929. During World War II, Fowler was in command of the San Francisco Naval Shipyard and oversaw the construction of warships, destroyers, and all manner of naval vessels. By 1948, Fowler had served in the United States Navy for 32 years, and he had reached the rank of Rear Admiral. In that year, Fowler chose to retire from the United States Navy. But by the start of the Korean War in 1950, Fowler was recalled to active duty and served in a number of managerial positions in Washington, before once again retiring in 1954. By the time Fowler had kicked his feet up to enjoy his retirement, a special offer came in for him to unretire once again. And this time, the offer to leave the world of retirement was not offered by the United States government, but from a man and a mouse who both had a special dream. We'll be right back.
Our Stories from Maine weekly podcast episodes stream each Saturday on our YouTube channel. And our weekly articles, published in the Brunswick newspaper, The Times Record, appear online and on newsstands each Friday. And, each day, we post images and information on Maine's history on our Facebook page. So, please take a moment to like, share, comment, follow, and subscribe to Stories from Maine on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Stories from Maine. And, you can email us at storiesfrommaine@gmail.com.
Now, let's go back to Oscar for the rest of our feature story on Maine's own Disney legend, Joseph Fowler.
When Walt Disney purchased the 160-acre Anaheim property, he held an immense vision for what the park would offer its guests, and he budgeted $17 million to make it all happen. When Maine's own Joseph Fowler joined Walt Disney's team to oversee the construction of Disneyland, Fowler was now 60 years of age. And this newest challenge required Fowler's special experience with large project management, broad engineering skills, and Fowler's ability to bring large projects in on time and on budget. Walt Disney offered Fowler little time to accomplish the gigantic feat of constructing Disneyland, as the park was scheduled to open in just 1 year's time. There was much to do, and many challenges lay ahead for Fowler and the team. Fortunately, Fowler wasn't alone. Other project managers and construction overseers were on the Disneyland construction team with Fowler. One of the major challenges Fowler's team encountered was a labor strike. When the plumbers' union went on strike that year, the swift development of the futuristic park was jeopardized. When the asphalt workers also went on strike, the accomplishment of the greatest amusement park in American history was now in danger of failure. As construction of Disneyland proceeded, many more challenges were faced each day, and Fowler's special ability to think on his feet and create project-saving solutions was sorely put to task. With each passing day, as Disney's dream was slowly becoming a reality, the budget began to dry up. Fowler and the Disneyland construction team were then forced to find lower-cost means to accomplish this behemoth task. 40 initial attractions were rapidly being built: shops, stores, displays, rides, many modes of transportation, roads, walkways, flower gardens, water fountains, parking lots capable of holding over 10,000 cars, plazas, pavilions, riverboats, restaurants, ponds, streams, and rivers all had to be built and ready for the July grand opening in 1955. And that just scratched the surface of the park's offering. An even greater challenge was found in the intricate and mammoth infrastructure of this new fantasy city. An elaborate new electrical grid, water distribution and drainage system, as well as the elaborate system of communications for the park, had to also be developed. And there was also the park's signature castle, which had to be finished. It was all a mammoth task for anyone to handle, but Fowler and his team brought it about. By July 17th of 1955, just 1 year and 1 day since the Disneyland project broke ground, Walt Disney's great fantasy amusement park opened to the public. Much of the asphalt had just been laid the day before, and some functions of the park were not yet fully ready, and some of the park was still under construction. But the grand opening of Disneyland was on schedule. When the gates opened, more than 28,000 people flooded into the park, while an all-star studded cast of actors, actresses, and news broadcasters televised Walt Disney's biggest day. There was still much to be done, and the work of constructing Disneyland would go on for years to come. By 1959, Disney's next project was planned for a much larger parcel of land in Florida. And Walt Disney once again turned to his old friend, Joe Fowler. By now, Fowler was 65 years old, and his days as a hands-on construction manager were generally behind him. This time, Fowler's expertise aided Walt Disney in the purchase and planning stages of this newest and largest Disney endeavor. And this new park was planned for a nearly 28,000-acre parcel of land in Orange County, just outside of the city limits of Orlando. Fowler's initial work with Disney was mostly in the early planning, land acquisition, and development stages of the project. But on December 15th of 1966, Walt Disney suddenly died in California, and his entire Florida dream lay in jeopardy. Many inside and outside of the Walt Disney Corporation debated whether to scrap the Florida project, for fear that without Walt's guiding hand, the behemoth fantasy project could not be brought to fruition. Fortunately, Walt's brother, Roy Disney, stepped in to fill his brother's shoes, and along with Joe Fowler, the Florida project continued on. For the next 5 years, Fowler and his teams built the grand and spacious park, and this time had much more time to do so. On October 1st of 1971, Walt Disney World opened to the public. The completion of Walt's dream was finally a reality, and Fowler was one of the men who brought this reality to fruition. Joseph Fowler remained with the Walt Disney Corporation until his retirement in 1978, at the age of 84. During his career with Disney, Fowler held the positions of Senior Vice President of Engineering and Construction, Director of Construction of Disney World, and as Chairman of the Board for Walt Disney Enterprises. He had led a busy life and accomplished great tasks for both his country and for posterity. Then, on December 6th of 1993, a 99-year-old Joseph Fowler passed away at his home in Orlando, not far away from the great magic kingdom of Disney World which he helped to create. Fowler was interred at the Woodlawn Memorial Park in Gotha, Florida. Today, attractions and rides in the Disney-themed parks are named in honor of Joseph Fowler, and he is honored by the Walt Disney Corporation as an official Disney legend. And today, this great man from Maine is forever remembered as one of the most inspirational and legendary of our Stories from Maine.
If you have enjoyed this Stories from Maine weekly podcast episode, then please click the like button and let us know in the comments section. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel and return next Saturday for another all-new episode and learn why many of the greatest legends in American history are our Stories from Maine. Thanks for listening.
All original Stories from Maine podcast content is copyright 2025, with all rights reserved, and may not be reused or edited without the express written permission of Stories from Maine author and historian, Lori Suzanne Dell. You can contact Stories from Maine by emailing us at storiesfrommaine@gmail.com. See you next week.